It's Saturday. It's in the evening. We had a nice Saturday. We had some time to ourselves, Jason and I. Ellie's getting better. She isn't feeling good. And Honey's a teenager. So, here we go. October 29th. Self-pity in its early stages is as snug as a feather mattress. Only when it hardens does it become uncomfortable. Maya Angelou, 1928. Angelou, a writer, dancer, and civil rights activist, poetically reminds us that feeling sorry for ourselves can be a trap. A self-pity party can lead to a self-destructive cycle. In AA circles, it's pour me a drink. We will be mistreated in life. Feeling hard done by is unavoidable. But indulging in these guilty pleasures is something we can take some responsibility for. The balancing act for us is to mitigate our self-pity while facing a life that will include hardships, abuses, and misfortune. To counter overreaction by repressing grief and anger isn't what we're talking about. When we suppress feelings, we don't kill them. We bury them alive. They will resurface again and again until we let them breathe and run their course. The idea that our feelings will consume and destroy us if we let them out is generally backward. Repressing feelings is toxic. Experiencing them relieves the poison. Meditation can help sort out whether we are overindulging in pity or honoring our feelings. If after reflection we need more feedback about our motives, we can consult a sponsor, counselor, or a close confidant. It has been said that self-pity is like kicking the thing that stubbed your toe. Am I in a pity party over anything right now? When was the last one? Can I learn something about myself by looking at what triggers this behavior? There were a couple things that I enjoyed here. I like that there's a balancing act with our self-pity, right? We have to realize that we're going to have hardships in life, and there's going to be abuse, and we're going to have misfortune. So we all will have to deal with those things as they come along. But dealing with them is part of getting out of our self-pity, right? And also, I appreciate it says repressing grief and anger isn't what we're talking about. To suppress those feelings is dangerous, and it will affect us later, and then it comes out with difficulties in our bodies. And I noticed that with people that I have seen kind of push the grief and anger away. For instance, with me, it was the waste of time that I spent so many years in a cult. You waste so much time and you realize how abusive they were. And I had to mourn for those years, and I still am mourning for those years, because these are sad things that I realize now, and they come in waves. It comes in waves. So I'm not always, I feel really good, and I'm thinking I'm dealing with whatever it is, and I can see something or hear something, and it triggers all that anger and frustration that I experienced in life. So then having to deal with that is part of the healing process, but not staying in that feeling, not staying in those feelings. So usually it means getting active, even if it means 20-minute walk around the block, or going outside and doing some deep breathing, or doing deep breathing inside my home. So calling a friend, that will help alleviate some of that frustration, but feeling it through, writing it down. I notice when I write it down. But if I just stay in those thoughts, it's very dangerous for my mind. I can't do things. I can't do normal things like get up out of bed, take a shower, make my bed. Yeah, so that pity party part can really end up being difficult, not dealing with it. It says it'll resurface again and again until we let them breathe and run their course. Talking about it with my husband, writing it down, looking up information to understand why I'm feeling the feelings that I'm feeling. All of that helps. And sharing it with someone else, that doing this is very helpful. The idea that our feelings will consume and destroy us if we let them out is generally backward, because it does affect our bodies, right? If we just stuff them, you can see it later in life. Repressing feelings is toxic. Experiencing them relieves the poison. It does feel you feel a lot of relief when you can let things out and you feel safe enough to let them out. So I wouldn't do it with people who you don't trust, or people who have never experienced what you've experienced. Otherwise they won't understand, and it'll be counterproductive, because you'll get the snap out of it. Can't you just snap out of it? Snap out of it. No, you can't. You can't just snap out of it. It's not that easy. You have to work it out. And it's like anything else. It's like a muscle. You don't have muscles when you first start working out, but when you start building up the muscle, you end up getting stronger and stronger. And I believe that's how our minds work. You have to. It's like a muscle, and sometimes you have to let it rest for it to get stronger. Going to someone you can trust, sponsor, counselor, or confidant. People who've experienced the things that you've experienced help. When was the last time I had a pity party? I don't have really a lot of time to have a pity party, but I was building a website. And I was trying to, and I would get so far and then I'd stop, and I couldn't concentrate. I couldn't keep it going, and I couldn't understand how things worked. And so I was doing really well, and I got triggered. And I had seen a friend who was a close friend, and she had a website up and she was selling earrings. It was a multi-level marketing deal. And I didn't realize that at first, but I just saw the whole website stuck up there and I gave up. I just felt really bad about myself because I could only go so far with it. Had I pushed myself a little harder, maybe given myself a break and then pushed myself a little harder, but I gave up. So, and then I go back and I realize, wait a minute, she didn't put up the website. The multi-level marketing deal did it for her. So she didn't have to set that up. So yeah, so these little things can trigger behavior that makes me go back. Take one step forward, 10 steps back. So, and that is not something I can control, right? You realize that whatever it is sometimes that triggers you, you don't have any control over. You just have to control the way you view something. So yeah, I've had since learned, I was learning a lot of things all at the same time. And sometimes it's okay to let some things go and then start up and learn just one thing, which would for me have been a website, building a website, and letting go other things like learning certain things about my art, learning certain things about Bitcoin, learning certain things about what else? I was learning a whole different more mind, about my mind and psychology and how things worked, how my children were working. So yeah, there's a lot there, and it's okay. And your mind gets tired. You can't do everything, and it's okay. And I think that's probably part of it too, is that we've missed so much in our being in a group think place, or a group think with a bunch of people around us that think all the same way. You didn't realize you have choices and that you can do something different, and it might not be something that people necessarily agree with. So learning how to deal with all these different feelings. It's easy to have, it's easy to feel bad about what you're having to deal with and stay in that space. But learning how to get through it and realize that other people are having the problems that you do. They just don't share them. And so being hard on ourselves during that time doesn't feel good either. So I think it's just a matter of making sure that you have, for me, it's a routine, getting up, making my bed, going for a walk, taking a cold shower, those things, and revive my mind. When I don't always do everything in that order, or I skip my exercise, I have to give myself a little pat on the back and say, okay, well, another day, and you try it again. So the one thing that I generally always skip is my exercise from time to time. And when I don't exercise, everyone in the family feels it, including my body. So it's my brain and my body that I like working together. So that exercise really does help. And doing the meditation. That is really hard. That is 3 minutes of meditation. Just keeping your brain quiet is probably the hardest thing for me to do, because my brain will bounce all over the place with thoughts. So I hope this helps you on your healing journey. Just remember, we all have abuses. We've all had hardships. We're all trying to get through those things. And it's 1 second at a time. I don't even think it's 1 day at a time anymore. I think it's 1 second at a time, and just breathing through it all. I hope this helps you on your healing journey. Follow your bliss and be good humans.